that they chose and stuff, like a lot of them you could tell that they had seen the ones that I use, and they try to do variations of it. I'm not in their head, I can't say that. But like there are colors that are like so freaking close.
It just is like, ew, you're another one of those people that lies just to sell your palette and bring down another brand. Like, that's so messed up.
First AI perfume influence, which just to start is kind of crazy because AI can't smell. But then you notice that this company Slate Brands is behind this fake influencer. And why would they want to do that? They're a beauty startup incubator, and surprise, surprise, one of their specialties is fragrance. But it gets worse.
I tell you this because I want you to remember how loved this all-nighter setting spray is before I show you this that Urban Decay put up, completely slamming the all-nighter setting spray, basically saying it sucks. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to What's Up in Makeup, where we talk about everything that happened across the beauty industry all in one place. We were off last week, so we have 2 weeks worth of news this weekend. Buckle up, buckle in. Let me begin because you're going to be jumping around in these comments in just a couple minutes because I have so many wild news stories for you this week. And this first story truly did not turn out the way that I expected because it started off as just a joke, but it turned into a PR nightmare for a small indie brand. Now, the two parties that are involved in this are Celina Spooky Boo, who is a TikTok creator, and the indie brand Glaminatrix. Now, I have never bought anything from Glaminatrix. I don't know much about them other than occasionally seeing their releases on Instagram. Celina Spooky Boo, however, I started following her back in like 2020 when she was doing like sleepwalking content where she would record herself sleepwalking and saying absolutely ridiculous things.
These are my most iconic sleepwalking clips.
How did you just go? Why did you just go? Gold star.
I never knew if it was real or not, but it didn't really even matter because she put it up to make people laugh, and it made me laugh. So I always had a fondness for Celina, even though I've never really followed her closely. The point is, much more familiar with Celina than I am with Glaminatrix. The first time Glaminatrix really stood out to me was for April Fools of this past year. They did a palette called Tones of Turd. Okay, it's so gross. It was April Fools. We're used to seeing in the beauty space all kinds of ridiculous things coming out for April Fools. This came out like maybe a day before April 1st, and people lost their minds over it. They looked at it and they were like, this is actually kind of fire. This is actually kind of cute. Like, y'all should release this. Their post on March 31st read, "Update, this has blown up far more than we anticipated. Follow our socials because we will be releasing a limited amount of this palette in the exact packaging, just a few more beautiful sparkly shimmers. Meet our most questionable creation yet, Tones of Turd, a 12-shade palette packed with murky greens, crusty yellows, and more brown than anyone asked for. You'll be serving looks that are downright dirty, crafted for the bold, the brave, and those who aren't afraid to swatch corny surprise on their lids. Spoiler, this one's full of crap. Literally." So on April Fool's Day, they posted a second announcement that Tones of Turd would absolutely be coming to life. They said, "We've seen the comments, we've heard the cries, make Tones of Turd real. I wish this was real. You begged, and honestly, we're kind of concerned, but also flattered. So guess what? You asked for a palette full of crap, and we'll deliver it, just with a little more class and a lot less actual poop references. Yes, a real version of Tones of Turd is coming this year, refined, reimagined, and with our Glaminatrix aesthetics. We are not completely unhinged. While we love a good laugh, we also love making makeup that people actually want to display on their vanity. So no, the real version won't be called Tones of Turd, as iconic as that name is, but it will take inspiration from these rich, murky, earthy tones you all love. Stay tuned, the glow up is coming." And then they said, look at our last post if you're confused. But the comments revolted under this. They were like, no, no, do not rename it. Do not rename the shades. We want Tones of Turd as is. Release it. And they're like, seriously, are you for real? Like, you actually want? So that is exactly what happened. 2 months later, Tones of Turd, the palette, went on pre-order. This video with Snoop Dogg's Drop It Like It's Hot was playing in the background of this post, revealing the slightly different shade selection. Same packaging design, but they have some extra shimmery, glittery shades thrown in the middle. And they announced in that video that Tones of Turd pre-orders were almost gone and that it was shipping in approximately 2 weeks, so to grab it before all of it was wiped out. But what's so interesting about this is that they did release a second palette, the one that they had intended to release, the one that had the exact same color story, but a less gross packaging. It was called Grounded. It's actually, both of them are actually still available on their website. It was meant to give vibes of calm, stability, and clarity, just for people that just didn't want, you know, baby poop or corny surprise on their eyes. According to Glaminatrix, by June 30th, Tones of Turd had become their best-selling palette in the last 2 years. Someone named Lucy commented that palette of piss should be next, to which Glaminatrix replied, just imagine golden hour, but make it questionable. And everybody seemed to be having fun with this concept until this past week. On July 21st, the TikToker that I mentioned, Celina Spooky Boo, posted this video. Instead of giving you a summary like I normally do, I do think that it's important for you to hear Celina's words, to hear what she actually said, but I am going to interrupt her occasionally just to bring in some information. So let's get it started.
I am a sweet little baby who likes no drama whatsoever, but I have been power tagged. I usually don't look at my tags, but I was tagged so many times today that I have to address drama that I don't want to be a part of. I have a super small business called Beauty X Boo. It was birthed in 2021, and I only ever sell like 1 to 2 makeup products at a time, things that I developed and created that like I really, really like. And of course, one that I created was this. It's the poop palette. This one sold out just a bit ago, but this one has always been up for the last, I think, like 2 years. It's like, you're the deuce. Put it on me to create poop humor. I do not, own poop humor. I don't own poop palette, but some happened, and I'll be honest. I just kind of feel kind of gross, and it just kind of hurt my feelings. And just because so many freaking people are asking me about it these last 2 days, I've gone down the rabbit hole. We're just gonna talk about it for a minute. First, this is my website. April Fool's Day, this company, Glaminatrix Cosmetics, posts a Tones of Turds palette. I didn't see this. I have now learned about this. So I was like, okay, because this is what I was getting tagged in today, like crazy. Going into these old posts and stuff, I found that I was tagged a lot and stuff like that. But I decided to dig a little deeper and see if they ever like reached out. Like, I don't own poop. I don't, but I think what shocked me was like exact names and exact colors out of my palettes were used.
Okay, we're pausing here and let's compare. The only poop palette available on Celina's website right now is the You're the Deuce palette. The Glaminatrix mock-up has 12 shades. Celina's Deuce palette has 16 shades. I see that they both have a shade called Party Pooper, but they are not the same color at all. Just to be fair, let's look at the shades of Celina's discontinued first poop palette that was just called You're the This post that I'm showing you is from Celina's Instagram from November 11th of 2020. And I do see a repeat in the shade Skid Mark, but of course they are 2 different shades. So that's the mock-up, but let's take a look at the palette that Glaminatrix actually released and compare. Party Pooper is actually gone out of the palette, but Skid Mark is still there in that really dark brown or black shade. But that's literally the only shade that's the same name. So I don't know what Celina's talking about because no exact names matched with exact colors used. So let's continue.
So I went in my email and I found this in my spam. They had wrote me and they said that they were an indie brand, same, hey, and they were from Australia and that they had done this April Fool's thing. And then to their surprise and panic, that I got brought up a lot. And they said that they hadn't seen my palette before. But today with my research, they follow me. And I kind of post about it for a lot there for a minute. So that's not the matter. Here's what happened. This is where I got sad. They said, here's a wild idea. Why don't we join forces and actually make this happen? Their palette. Which, why would I do that? Mine exists. You can buy it right now.
To my knowledge, there's no way to find out when someone started following you. Celina's original palette was launched in 2020, and the Deuce was launched in February of 2023, and that was the last post currently visible on Celina's Instagram promoting the palette. Had Glaminatrix been following Celina for 2 years and just decided to copy her poop palette now? I don't know about that, but let's keep going because we're only about halfway through Celina's post.
And they said, we're thinking about a 15-pan palette, same humor, but elevated, prettier tones. Do you not think mine is, wow, you so passively kind of mean girl vibe, yo? Like when you go to a YouTube video of mine, there it is. You go into any link in bio, there it is. Like it's everywhere. It almost seems like they think that I created it once and maybe it didn't exist, but like, well, I think it's pretty.
So this is where it gets messy because that does sound really mean. And I thought that until I reached out to Glaminatrix. Girl, they were not talking about her palette. They were talking about an elevated version of their mock-up. And in context, that makes a lot of sense. Imagine you're Glaminatrix and you want to collab with Celina on this palette. Why would you insult her? It makes no sense. But if you think about the palette that they released was an elevated version of their mock-up, that does make sense. Celina continues.
Look at that. I didn't want it to be all classic browns. I wanted you to really play with the colors of your asshole. I'm sorry. Today, after all the tags, I went onto their page and I had commented. And it was a nice comment. And I went back a couple hours, like it was just me being like, oh wow, I didn't know this was a thing. And then I went back a couple hours later and they deleted it. And in that moment I was like I was fine with all this, but it's like, no, you're being mean now. We're all women, we have to uplift each other and right? I don't know. I'm at a weird place with it. Okay, I'm at a weird place.
Now, I got a statement directly from Glaminatrix about this, and they say that after Celina released the video that we are watching right now, they did email her to apologize. In that email, they directly apologized for causing her hurt, explained the statement about elevating the palette, and that when people pointed out that Celina had created a poop-themed palette before, they not only acknowledged it, they say they directed traffic to Celina's company. This is a direct quote from the email. This is what they say they told her. From there, we shared in our Instagram stories and tagged your business that you had made a poop-themed palette also and directed people to your page to support you. I genuinely admired your creativity and thought it would have been such a cool opportunity to collaborate, which is why we reached out via email and Instagram. I'm sorry you didn't see those messages. Then they acknowledge and apologize that one of the shade name skid mark did overlap. And then they say that, yeah, they did delete a bunch of, quote, quite negative comments about the situation, and they may have accidentally deleted her comment as well, but they did not. If they did that, they didn't do it on purpose. Let's continue with Celina's TikTok.
I get coming out with a palette, maybe if one is like retired. I know companies do stuff like that. Poop is a weird one to choose, but with the names that they chose and stuff, like a lot of them you could tell that they had seen the ones that I use and they try to do variations of it. I'm not in their head, I can't say that. But like there are colors that are like so freaking close.
This is when I personally started to get really mad because yes, there were variations you could say on Celina's names, but how many poop jokes can you make? Like for real, how many poop jokes can you make? Like for example, her original palette had corn win, and Glaminatrix has corny surprise. Glaminatrix has runny honey, and Deuce has sloppy ploppy. Glaminatrix has potty mouth, and Celina's original palette has shits and giggles. I'm gonna be so for real here. First, it's really hard to be angry and also say those names out loud to you. But also, that's a stretch. I'm actually so impressed at how different the names are in the Glaminatrix palette from Celina's. As far as the colors being close, I mean, what is she talking about? How in the world are these close? They are not even close to close. So as a viewer of all this, I'm like actually getting mad about this because why is Celina doing this? I very rarely use this word, but she is lying. She is straight up lying. You can see the lie on the screen right now. Why is she doing that? What she's saying is not true at all, but there's more to come in the clip. Let's play it.
And there's actual like skid mark was used. And and they made their skid mark black. And if you just right now, between you and me, if your skid mark is black, go to the doctor.
All right, fair. But they were trying to make it different from hers. Hers was brown. So now who's being mean here? They couldn't use the brown because then she would have said that they were copying off of her. So they had to use something else. And now she's making fun of them for it. To me, that's mean.
I'm just having one of those minutes where, like, I know I have a lot of followers and stuff, but my business is very, very small. And I just have 2 products. I have a Ouija board one and a poop one, because those are my 2 personalities. And I feel like maybe they saw it and they saw how much people liked it and they wanted to run with it, and that's cool. But it just feels like part of it feels kind of bad. But the weird thing too is my palette has one more color than theirs, and I'm not being shady, but mine is $29 and theirs is $87.
Now, I'm not being shady, but the quality of her eyeshadows, to be fair, does not look good. And if you've tried a shadow palette like this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now look at the Glaminatrix palette and look at these swatches. You're not getting the same quality in these products. And the other thing is she lied about, or maybe somehow mistook, the price of their palette. She said it was $87. It's not even close. It's $64. So lying again. This is as close to literal pissing on her subscribers and telling them it's raining that I have ever seen. Hello, editing Jen. You know I will always admit when I've realized I've made a mistake. So I just realized where the $87, $88 came from. It looks like the Tones of Turd palette cost $88 Canadian, which I think Celina may be in Canada, so that would explain it. However, her palette that she says is $29 is $29 US. Now, I couldn't get a Canadian price. She does have a .com website address. There's no like .ca. Like, I tried to figure out if there was a different Canadian price, so I may be missing information there. However, I do stand by that she's being manipulative in that it is a comparison between USD and CAD in the prices, and you cannot compare that because the exchange rate is so dramatic. That being said, though, this may have been, giving Celina the benefit of the doubt, an honest mistake, thinking it was $88 US, but if she lives in Canada, you would think that I don't know. I'm just saying, I wanted to make sure you had that information. You decide what you think is really going on here. Okay, back to the video. And then we get to why I think she really made this video.
So, if you want to support a sad hoe today for $29, pick up You're the Deuce, where you can rub Dutch oven, party pooper, fudge nugget, prairie doggin, rosebud, wet fart, or beef stew on your eyes. I'm gonna go eat my pain away.
I am just so mad at this point. I am so angry because, like I said in the beginning, I knew of Celina way more than I knew of Glaminatrix. And I am like, I don't know why I'm surprised, because when influencers get big, there's usually a reason. They usually show themselves to not be very good people, but it just is like, ew, you're another one of those people that lies just to sell your crappy palette, literally, and bring down another brand. Like, that's so messed up. It is so shitty, and I'm using that word on purpose. It is so shitty that Celina would do this, because I think she knows that no one in her audience is gonna go look and see if she's telling the truth or not, because to my knowledge, she doesn't have a reputation for being like this. All of the comments underneath this video with 183,000 views, they all seem to be very much supporting Celina, which makes a lot of sense. But she lied to them. She straight up lied to their faces. And for what? To sell out some palettes that she couldn't sell? So many of the comments under this post say things like Celina should be suing Glaminatrix. This one says that it is definitely passive aggressive, and $84, I understand a small business prices will usually be higher than a large company, but $29 versus $87 is insane. It has 447 likes, that post. She is trashing Glaminatrix's reputation for what? For what? Because here on What's Up in Makeup, the most important thing to me is the truth, is you all knowing exactly what happened, you all seeing it all laid out so you can make the decision for yourself. And the only way that I can see this rolling out, if you look at it, is that Celina is outright lying. And she went from being a creator that I had a level of respect to her being straight up on my shit list. Pun intended. All right. Whew, I've taken a breath and we have some sad news, but I just remembered I wanted to give you the little disclaimer that something's going on with my left eye and I don't know what it is. I actually did an interview earlier this week where it's even more red than it is today. I don't know what's going on, if it's still red. I'm going to talk to my optometrist on Monday, but yeah, I know my eye is red and I don't know why. I'll figure it out at some point, I'm sure. But anyway, we need to move on to our next story because something very important happened while I was away. The brand Ami Colé announced that they are closing. In a feature by The Cut, their founder, Zara Jaime, talked about how she named Ami Colé after her Senegalese mother. She had moved to New York and opened up a hair salon, and she would see her mother standing on her feet for 12 hours a day, making sure that the women who sat in her chair were 100% happy with their hair and the services that she was providing, and that inspired her to have such a strong work ethic. She just watched her mom and really admired her. So when it came down to naming her brand, she named it after her mom. Now, 4 years later, after their launch, the brand will be closing in September. To quote the reason from the article, Zara said that continuing in this current market wasn't sustainable. Just a little history, before starting Ami Colé, she worked at Sephora and they threw her back in fragrances and she was really not happy about it because that was not where her passion was. She ended up leaving there and going to go work for some beauty brands in PR and in development. One of the things that she did during this time period that she's super proud of was when she was working with Glossier to develop their first line of skin tints, and the shade Rich was developed specifically for her skin tone. But as she was in this period of her life, she had some really negative experiences and she was like, you know what, I am done, I need to step out of this, and she decided to start her own brand. But she knew, because she'd been in the industry, that she needed investors. So there was this one investor that she really had her eye on, and she actually went out to meet this investor, pitched it, brought all the stuff, and the investor's like, yes, this is exactly what the industry needs. Like, we're so excited, blah, blah, blah. So Zara flies home and completely gets ghosted. The person never talks to them again. It's like it never happened. And Java was like, I don't even know what the heck just happened. She was super disappointed and then went through that multiple times of just a lot of people telling her no. No one else was ghosting her, at least according to this article, but a lot of people just telling her no. And it was just a hard fight to get Ami Colé even made in the first place. That was until 2020 when it started to become performatively popular to help out Black-owned businesses. And that's when she got her start. That's when the investors started coming in. And from this first round of investments, she was able to create her first round of skin tints and lip oils, and they sold out almost immediately. After that, Jara says that the first investor actually ended up coming back and being like, never mind, I'll invest too. Can I invest too? And she's like, yeah, you can invest too. I'm not mad at you. So that first investor actually ended up coming back. In the first couple of years, Ami Colé won more than 80 awards throughout that year, including Allure's Best of Beauty list and Oprah's Favorite Things list. The brand was thriving. With that momentum, they hit Sephora shelves in 2022. And unfortunately, they did not realize at the time that hitting Sephora shelves was actually the beginning of the end of Ami Colé. We've talked about this quite a few times when brands have closed after entering Sephora specifically, and it's because it is really expensive to sell in Sephora. Sephora takes a huge cut of the sale price when you buy something at Sephora. The brand pretty much sometimes will just break even on the cut that they get from selling at the store. So it's really important that the brand also gets sales from other places. That's why the TikTok shop has been so amazing for so many brands. The TikTok shop from their own brand website, maybe if they have their own brick and mortar store, if they're selling at other retailers, they have to make their profit elsewhere because businesses are very expensive to run. And if most of your sales are coming from Sephora and they're not coming from anywhere else, your brand's in trouble because it's so expensive to get that shelf space. Along with the shelf space, it's the percentage that they're taking from the sale price of the goods. So needless to say, bills at Ami Colé were very, very high. And stocking things was extremely unpredictable because they would get like a big boost in sales because maybe an influencer would mention them, right? And then they would just have all this extra overstock because nobody was mentioning them, and it was, overstock, like nobody was buying them for some reason. And then another influencer would sell out a product out of nowhere, and it was just really all over the place and very hard to manage. So what they did was they invested in these huge marketing campaigns, and sometimes they did well and sometimes they didn't. In the end though, with the marketing campaigns, the return on investment wasn't enough. On top of that, all the performative stuff that was happening in 2020 kind of dried up. According to Jara in the article, people just didn't care as much about supporting small businesses, especially small Black-owned businesses anymore, and that hurt them really bad. And now she says the politics of the time are not helping. She talks about the instability of our political climate right now here in the US. She talks about the potential and the actual tariffs that are happening right now, also the high marketing costs, and she just said she just can't do it anymore. The most powerful quote from the cut for me read this: "Instead of focusing on the healthy, sustainable future of the company and meeting the needs of our loyal fan base, I rode a temperamental wave of appraising investors, some of whom seem to have an attitude toward equity and betting big on inclusivity that changed its tune a lot to my ears from what it sounded like in 2020. And this just broke my heart. I heard about this. I was actually on a mountaintop in Colorado when I heard about this, and I put up a TikTok like immediately as soon as I saw it. I was like, I cannot believe Ami Colé is closing. I've heard nothing but great things about the brand, and it just made me so sad. So I just want to wish Jara and the team over at Ami Colé so much success in whatever they choose to do in the future. The beauty business is so hard. So like we said, not last week because we weren't here, but the week before, when you're thinking about buying cosmetics, consider buying from some of these smaller brands if you're interested, if you're already going to buy. I'm not saying to overbuy just to support them, but if you're thinking about trying some new cosmetics, consider some of these smaller brands that may be really struggling right now. There is a lot that AI technology can do, but one thing that it seems to be having trouble doing is convincing people that AI is 100% a good thing, especially when it comes to imitating real people. Beauty incubator Slate Brands decided that they were going to introduce an artificial intelligence influencer, and her name is Iris Lane, and her specific job was to promote fragrances. She took selfies, she made reels, and of course, she sold products. Now, the fragrance community on Instagram was not happy about this, and I'm going to highlight their content. All of their socials will be linked down below if you'd like to follow them. The first person that I saw talking about this is Elise Loves Smells. She posted about it and she articulated this so well, so I would love to play her clip for you.
I've been waiting for this to happen, honestly. So this is a new fully AI perfume influencer. They're called Iris Lane, and they're created by Slate Brands, which I'd never heard of, but it appears to be like an incubator for small beauty and fragrance brands. If you play one of her little videos, it's pretty clear that it's fake. Like, nobody would watch her video and think that she's a real person. Like, the mouth doesn't match what she's saying. I'm sure you've probably seen the video by now of Huda from Love Island recommending a perfume, and it's very obviously not really her. Somebody did the same thing with Ariana a few months ago. They are creating fake people and also using celebrities to sell you products. And it's funny because I was just talking with my friends over the weekend about AI replacing people's jobs. And I was like, I don't think it could replace my job really, because while it would be very easy for AI to do my job, part of the appeal of being a content creator is people want to follow a real person. So while AI could definitely find the data that I find about perfume and talk about it like I talk about it, I think a lot of the reason y'all follow me is my personality and my taste. That being said, I think we're totally headed for an era of fully AI content creators who are becoming so convincing that a lot of people can't even tell. We're gonna see a wave of AI content creators who get outed as AI. And I think we're probably gonna have a very Black Mirror moment of people being like, I don't care that they're AI. I like them. I like their vibe. I like their message. I'm going to keep following them even though they're not a real person.
According to WWD, fragrance influencer The Niche Sampler had screenshotted their Instagram page, and she put up an Instagram story and put text that read, "Had to block you because you don't even have a nose. Fair." And when I went to go research the story, I realized that there was so much backlash that this account, Iris's account, is just gone off of Instagram. And you know, one of my favorite tools is called the Wayback Machine. You can use it to see old versions of different internet pages. It's terrible at Instagram. It never captures Instagram. I don't know what it is there. Something with the Instagram algorithm. I don't know. But I couldn't find anything. So thankfully, like I mentioned, there were so many people on Instagram and TikTok that were talking about this, that recorded everything. So I'm going to share with you what they said. So here we go. We have this creator named Liz. She goes by The Lizard. Here's what happened next.
Uh-oh, a little brand couldn't handle the heat, so they ran out of the kitchen, deleted everything, and replaced it with a BS response. First of all, they changed their name here to a storyteller, not the first AI fragrance influencer, which to me is just semantics. It's still, this is just bullshit. Now let me read you what they have to say in response. We've seen the conversations around Iris and want to speak openly. Since yesterday, we've received questions and concerns about Iris, our AI-powered fragrance storyteller. Already backtracking. We hear you. We understand that new ideas can cause discomfort. Like it's our fault. Like it's our fault that this is causing discomfort. And we're going to go back to the drawing board to see how we can better communicate innovative and beneficial uses of AI in fragrance. You want to listen to what a bot has to say about how it perceives a scent? Like that is just mind melting in the worst way possible. Okay, I continue. To clarify, Iris isn't an influencer, even though they said it was an influencer literally hours ago, and isn't here to replace anyone. She was created as a creative experiment. She was designed to explore new forms of technology and storytelling, not to take away from human creativity or authenticity. Really? Our hope is that Iris and the innovations AI can provide add a new layer to how we experience scent without replacing the voices that already exist in the space. This just sounds like people who are backtracking and have no idea what to do next because they've probably already invested money into this. Anyways, last paragraph. We believe this kind of experimentation can expand the fragrance world and offer new creative possibilities, not compete with the people already shaping it. We believe there's room for more forms of expression. If you have questions, we're always here to talk and committed to staying honest as we continue exploring what's next.
Then we got another update from a fragrance influencer named Teddy.
This fragrance AI influencer drama goes way deeper than you realize, and it's kind of messed up. First AI perfume influencer, which just to start is kind of crazy because AI can't smell. But then you notice that this company, Slate Brands, is behind this fake influencer. And why would they want to do that? They're a beauty startup incubator, and surprise, surprise, one of their specialties is fragrance. But it gets worse. Here's some of the brands that they have and more. It's very much giving, we're not making anything that's interesting and fun enough for the fragrance community to want to actually promote, and then we don't want to spend money on paying them to do it, so we're going to make a fake human to do it for free. But somehow it gets even worse. They're already lying as they backtrack, and they've updated the profile to say that it's an AI fragrance storyteller and not here to pretend I'm human. Like, really? And they're really leaning into the gaslighting because they deleted their posts and added this fake crappy apology where they again say that Iris isn't an influencer, despite that's exactly what they said. They even have the audacity to end this weird statement by saying that they're committed to staying honest as they're lying to you, so get out of here with this bull.
Now, this is the thing. I can tell you exactly what they're doing. And I can tell you because I have personal experience with this brand, because I knew it sounded familiar. As soon as I heard Slate Brands, I was like, I knew that sounded familiar. It turns out Slate Brands actually reached out to me in January of 2023, and I would like to share with you what happened because it directly leads to what happened this past week. So they said in the email, I would love to send you a bottle of Hue, which is one of their fragrances, to try and share on your social platforms. If you love it, we would love any Instagram, TikTok, YouTube content giving you a review of the product. If you are interested, send over the best shipping address, your full name, and we'll send over the fragrance. And I was like, cool, send it over. Like I will try things, and if I love it, I'll share about it. There are so many things that I talk about. Like, for example, I've talked about this so many times. The Blend Bunny palette that Jordan Liberty did with them is freaking phenomenal. They sent this to me in PR. They did not pay me a dime. I don't even have an affiliate code with this company, but I will share this with you till the end of time because it is so good. So I have no problem sharing about a new fragrance that I love, but I don't want to be obligated to do that. So that was where I thought they were going with it. But after I sent them my address, they responded with, can you please integrate us into one of your YouTube videos for 2 to 3 minutes promoting the product? I must mention that Hue Fragrance is a small brand with no influencer marketing budget, which was not what they had said in the original email. They said to share it on my social platforms if I liked it, and now it sounded like they wanted me to do a 2 to 3 minute mention just in exchange for product, which is something that I do not do. And the reason why I don't do that is because what if I don't like it and I have agreed to give a positive review in exchange for a free fragrance, and I've agreed to that? What if I don't like it? Then I still have to share it with you and lie to you to your face. And so I will not do that. If somebody wants a sponsorship opportunity, the sponsorships that I do, what they do is they send me the products, I try them out. If I like them, then we proceed with the sponsorship. That's how that works for me. That's how it works for many of my influencer friends. It's just kind of the system. So this was an absolute no for me. I told them no thank you. If anything changes, let me know. They shot back, hey, let us know your rates. I had my husband, who's my business manager, send over my rates, and they never responded. So from my perspective, the reason why they created an AI influencer is because they thought it would be cheaper than hiring real people. But instead, they have spent money and time creating a fake person that now can no longer exist because the internet revolted against them. They should have just paid influencers. And the thing is you don't even have to pay a bigger influencer. You know, they could get somebody that had 1,000, 5,000 followers to promote it if they wanted to. This to me is one of those play stupid games, win stupid prizes moments. But this is where it comes down to, and it kind of made me sad because I do think Elise had a point with the part where she said that she can see a future where people are okay with AI influencers, where they go, well, I don't really care that it's not a real person because, you know, I like their vibe.
More and more, it's starting to feel like the dead internet theory is true. So many of the interactions we have on here are not real, and it's just very weird. If you're a brand watching this, don't use AI in your marketing. Don't hire AI influencers. It's very weird. Iris Lane seems pretty inconsequential right now with less than 30 followers, only 3 videos, and looks very fake. But I think we are headed into a landscape where this is going to become increasingly common. Stay vigilant and support people on the internet who are real people.
I used to think there would never be a time where people would be okay with influencers just straight up lying to people's faces. It happens all the time on TikTok and people just don't seem to care. So I can see that AI influencers may be something that people accept in the future. All we can do as individual people is just say no and just decide that that's not something we're digging on, and not support artificial intelligence when it comes to replacing human beings like that. I really do hope that Elise is wrong there, and I really do hope that people continue to appreciate the nuance of a real human being providing content and entertainment for us. All right, so much big product news this week in the product report, starting with Urban Decay. They've been making a lot of big moves over the past couple of weeks, and I really want to talk to you about it. The reason why I think they're making all these big moves is it is very clear that Urban Decay is not the it brand anymore. It used to be. Urban Decay used to be that brand that people were like, yes, I want it. People were reviewing it all the time on socials, and it was just really popular in every store they saw. sold in. Everybody knew that Urban Decay was a brand to have, and it's just not anymore. To their credit, though, they have had some big hits in recent years, like the Face Bond Foundation. People lost their minds over it. I feel like the highlighters did pretty well as well, the Face Bond highlighters. And of course, they have their staple products, the All-Nighter Setting Spray, the 24/7 eyeliners, the Perversion Mascara. I feel like there are just staple products from Urban Decay that people still really, really love. The Primer Potion, Urban Decay Primer Potion, just so many good things. But they haven't come out with, other than the Face Bond, really anything that stood out recently, and I think they want to change that. On July 16th on Instagram, we started getting a series of these like Gaussian blur posts talking about things like, the statements were like, sensitive content, this image may contain boring or bland. This image is censored for conformity, and this post contains no pigment and even less personality. And I was reading these, I'm like, where are they going with this? Like, what are they doing? So the next day we got a little bit more information via OnlyFans star Ari Kitsa. It's the official launch of their Battle the Bland campaign. I'll let Ari explain it to you.
Breaking news! We interrupt your scrolls with an urgent message. We are in a blandemic. Wasn't makeup made to perform on stage, on camera, and yes, on mattresses? Censorship is out of control. Coming for my content? What really needs to be canceled? Boring makeup. I'm not afraid to go all the way. But it seems like the world is. No glitter, no individuality, no expression. It's giving basic, not bop. 15 steps for a barely there look. I mean, I've starred in roles with less coverage than that. It's time to end this plague of dry because I'm not turned on and neither are you. Let's blur the bland, bleep the boring, and bring uncensored makeup back to center stage. This has been a public service announcement from the Urban Decay Anti-Bland broadcast.
I'm going to be 100% with you. Even though I understand why Urban Decay is doing this, I hate it. I absolutely hate it because the hypocrisy of it all, okay? Urban Decay started as this really edgy brand, but why did they get popular? They got popular because of boring and bland. The Naked palettes, Naked 1, Naked 2, Naked 3, all boring and bland. That is really what made Urban Decay go mainstream. It's like Metallica. You know, they came out with the Black Album and all of a sudden it was mainstream, right? That's exactly what happened with Urban Decay and the Naked palettes. I'm sorry if you don't get that reference, but it made sense to me in the moment. You will never convince me that Enter Sandman wasn't one of the best songs of that era. Just saying. Anyway. The other thing I hated about this, and this has nothing to do with Ari. Take Ari out of it. Ari's fine. She's great. It's Urban Decay's campaign that I don't like because look at Ari's makeup. Tell me that is not just a step up from boring and bland. She's got a little extra blush on, right? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean, Urban Decay? What are you doing? The next post goes a step further in negativity. So they quote someone named Shay, and Shay says, the boring copy and paste glam gentrification of makeup absolutely destroys me every time I'm reminded of it. This is what they took away from you with the pictures of all of the colorful eyeshadow. So first, I get gentrification as a multiple meaning word. I get it. I don't love it in this context at all. Second, I never feel like the way to build people up is to tear people down unless that person deserves it, right? And people that wear natural makeup don't deserve to be torn down, in my opinion. We can all live harmoniously together, the colorful babes and the natural babes. We can all be fine together. I don't understand why we have to call people boring and bland and insult them if they just happen to like more natural makeup. You know what I'm saying? And the last thing I wanted to point out is that color lovers are not victims. And I don't think any color lover would say that because there has been colorful makeup ever since Urban Decay was putting out. It never went away. It's just it wasn't coming from Urban Decay. It was coming from indie brands or smaller brands and sometimes bigger brands. There's been bright, colorful makeup since that. Like, I don't understand. It's just irritating to me. It's creating this us versus them. You stole this from me. You stole color from me. You stole glitter from me and replaced it with your boring, bland nonsense. It's like, no, there's no us and them to create. Everybody can choose to enjoy whatever kind of look they like. So that part really rubbed me the wrong way. And then the next day, things got a little worse because I saw something that I was kind of like, and then I got insider information that made me go even more, I'm like, I'm going to share it with you. So it wasn't the next day. I misspoke. It was on July 23rd. They posted a carousel of photos showing an uncensored look at what's next for Urban Decay. Big setup. I was expecting color. I was expecting glitter. I was expecting bold and bright. That is not what they showed in these posts. Here's an image from that carousel with text explaining. It says, before we drop something new, we're upgrading a few faves. Our icons are being reinvented to push performance to the limit. And what is it? It is a natural eyeshadow palette and their iconic all-nighter setting spray. The next photo is something glittery, but it's pink, which again is just a step from natural. Then there's more text saying, we see the comments and requests. We're hitting the archives to bring back your faves. You know the ones. Again, yes, it's red. Yes, it's color, but I wouldn't say that's a stretch into bold and bright. People have been wearing red as a typical color in makeup, especially for cheek and lip products, especially people with deeper complexions have been wearing this particular shade of red as part of a natural look for a long time. We're still not getting into bold and bright. They finished the post with, we're ready to shake things up and put self-expression at center stage. Anti-bland is not just a look, it's a mentality. And at this point, I'm just confused because I haven't seen any single thing here that is anti-bland. I mean, they did say they're re-releasing these things before they do the launch. So I guess they're going to release a bunch of things that are on the edge of bland or bland before they go anti-bland. I don't know. How many times can I say bland in a period of 2 minutes? But anyway, the next two posts is where my jaw dropped and where I got the insider tea. So they're about the reformulation of their iconic all-nighter setting spray. Now keep in mind, this setting spray, I looked it up, has a 4.7 star rating and nearly 8,000 reviews on its website dating back 9 years. Sephora's website, all-nighter setting spray is no longer available because they're going to do this rebrand, right? But I was able to use my Wayback Machine to get a screenshot from December of 2024 showing the product with a similar rating as to what's going on over at Ulta with 14,600 ratings, still in the very high fours, which is very good for a product at Sephora and Ulta, especially one that's been around that long. I tell you this because I want you to remember how loved this all-nighter setting spray is before I show you this that Urban Decay put up, completely slamming the all-nighter setting spray, basically saying it sucks. They highlight a ton of negative reviews of the all-nighter setting spray, showing screen captures of comments saying things like, if you have oily skin, Urban Decay does not work. $50 for Urban Decay? I just don't like it because it smells like ass. I don't think it was $50. I think it was like $30, $35, something like that. Urban Decay all-nighter did not work on me at all. My favorite is the e.l.f. one, funnily enough, and then this one. I used to put my Urban Decay setting spray into a better bottle like Skindinavia. Hold up. Wait a minute. If you know, you know. If you don't know, I'm going to tell you. Skindinavia has made Urban Decay's all-nighter setting spray since the very beginning. It used to even be branded. I don't know if it's still branded, but it used to be branded with Skindinavia on every single one of those setting sprays because Skindinavia had developed a reputation for having this amazing setting spray. When that happened, Urban Decay jumped on it and asked Skindinavia to make their setting spray. That's how that happened. So why are they Urban Decay putting up a post that says that they used to put their Urban Decay setting spray into a better bottle like Skindinavia? The next post is from this past Thursday. Caption reads, "The best got even better. New all-nighter setting spray now lasts longer than ever with 24-hour wear, finer mist, temperature cooling technology, and refreshed scent." Available to shop in the US at urbandecay.com on July 31st, Sephora August 1st, Ulta Beauty August 3rd. Available globally in spring of 2026. Now here's the industry insider tea. I have known this person for many, many years and I trust them wholeheartedly. They have let me know that Urban Decay is no longer working with Skindinavia. They have ended their contract with Skindinavia. So what does this mean for you if you are a fan of the all-nighter setting spray? Well, first thing you need to know is that Skindinavia owns that formula. Urban Decay has said that this is going to be a new and improved formula. Therefore, it is not going to be the same one as what you're used to. It is possible that Urban Decay used the ingredient list in order to try to reverse engineer it in a way, but they're not going to be able to have the exact same formula, and they've told us, again, they've said it's not going to be the same. Long story short, this is what I think is happening. That post that they put up with all the complaints about the setting spray that we know is extremely popular is, in my opinion, a way for Urban Decay to gaslight their customers into thinking that the setting spray sucked when it absolutely did not suck. That way, when they cut off their contract with Skindinavia, they could reformulate and claim that it's better. And to be fair, it absolutely could be better. My source has not tried the new version of the setting spray, so they couldn't tell me whether it was better or not. They couldn't tell me if it was even similar, but the biggest concern that my source had with the switchover was the nozzle, was the sprayer on it. In that the Skindinavia setting spray has a very particular formula that goes very specifically with the sprayer that they were using, because what happens when you spray out a setting spray is it has film formers in it, and as soon as they hit the air, they start to dry and they start to form a film, which is what helps setting sprays to do the thing that setting sprays do. But with a sprayer, if you have the wrong one on there, it can easily get clogged. So that's how we get into situations like Nikki Tutorials with the fire hose setting spray, because they needed to come out fast so that it can shoot past any film former to make sure it doesn't get clogged. So what they're concerned about is that if it is a fine mist, you may have customers finding that these nozzles are getting clogged, and Urban Decay saying, well, if it gets clogged, just run it under hot water, all of that. Finally, the last point I want to make of the insider tea that I learned about was that Skindinavia has an actual patent on the cooling technology that is in the all-nighter setting spray. And if you notice in their description, they said that it had temperature cooling technology in the new setting spray. So if it's too similar to the one that's patented by Skindinavia, there could be a lawsuit on the horizon. And you know I will keep my eye out for it and let you know if I see anything. The big reason why I wanted to cover this is I wanted you to know, if you are a fan of the all-nighter setting spray and you do purchase it and you notice something different, that's why. But in the end, of course, I will keep you posted if I hear anything about the situation. I have a feeling it may get messy. Alrighty, let us talk fragrance. We are going to talk about Ariana Grande's latest fragrance. It's from her Love Notes collection, and it's called Plush Vanilla. It was developed specifically for Sephora, and it launches on July 31st. Ariana said in a statement about the perfume, "This fragrance is so divine and my favorite from the Love Notes collection. I can't wait for everyone to experience Plush Vanilla." The bottle, they say, has a whimsical design in a vibrant lavender color featuring miniature floating hearts. The fragrance itself is described as a delicate, playful, modern vanilla with light, silky vanilla notes and hints of sandalwood, warm amber, and cashmere woods. The 125 milliliter bottle will run you $80 USD, and the 10 milliliter spray will cost $32. Now, did you remember that Brad Pitt had a skincare line? Because I forgot. I completely forgot. It launched in like 2022. And I think the reason why I forgot is because I saw the price point and it was so outrageously high. I immediately dismissed it and completely was like, nope, out of my long-term memory. You do not belong here, right? So we did talk about it when it launched on What's Up in Makeup. And the big thing that I remember from that story was that there was a typo on the website, where instead of saying no preservatives, it accidentally said no conservatives. And we all had a really cute little chuckle about that. You know, because I think even no matter what your political affiliation is, nobody wants conservatives within the, I don't think anybody would co-sign that. But people that like preservatives in their skincare were absolutely appalled by that they were saying they didn't have preservatives in the skincare. It's like, ooh, I don't really want that. Especially if there's water in the formula. We do not want a product with no preservatives. Anyway, so people started side-eyeing the brand, and then there was the price point thing. And then, of course, Brad Pitt, people aren't necessarily very happy with him because, of the drama between him and his ex-wife, Angelina Jolie, and all of that. Her stories do not make him look like a very nice person. People also critiqued the way that he looks and saying that he doesn't look like he uses skincare. I'm not going to judge, not my place. You judge for yourself if you want to. I'll just judge silently in my head. Now, the next mention of his brand was when a bunch of indie skincare brands came together and basically called him out in an open letter for putting out a skincare company that was a cash grab. They specifically called it yet another buzzy but ineffectual celebrity beauty brand. And then they did a thing that made us all kind of go, they did what? That was ballsy. So they all came together in this open letter and were like, you know what? If you really want to release a good skincare line, we all know how to do that. We've been doing this. We've been out here in these streets putting out excellent skincare and not getting much traction because we are not celebrities like you. So if you actually care about skincare and you actually want to release good products, then one of us could probably help you to do that. It does not look like he took them up on it. I don't know that for sure, but it does not look like he took them up on it. But what's really interesting about that is that, I don't know, I guess it was about maybe a year ago. I feel like it was like January of 2024. Pamela Anderson ended up doing exactly that with a company called Sansi Skin, where it was a relatively new skincare company, and she became a co-founder of that company. And from what I've heard, Sansi Skin is doing really, really well right now. So maybe Brad Pitt should have taken them up on it. Anyway, I digress. So all that happened back in 2022, and I forgot Brad Pitt skincare even existed until this past week when it hit the news because they have now rebranded. They were called Le Domaine. Hopefully I did. I don't think I pronounced that right, to be honest, but now they're calling it Beau Domaine. Not only have they renamed it, but they are now putting it in planet-friendly packaging comprised of recycled glass and an oak cap. They say the new packaging is specifically in luminous white to, quote, reflect the purity and scientific precision behind the brand's formulations, as well as being more lightweight, they say, to reduce the brand's carbon footprint. Now, those of y'all that know more about this than I do, because I know some of you are like experts in this, does something being more lightweight specifically mean that it'll reduce the carbon footprint? Because my first thought was styrofoam and how light styrofoam is and how bad that is for the environment. So I don't know, I could be off there, but something just sounded weird with that, but let me know. I also imagine that old packaging was super, super expensive, and we have evidence of that in that they've lowered the prices significantly. So they're the exact same products, and the least expensive product has always been the cleanser. That is now $59. The most expensive product was always the serum, and that is now $118. And you may be like, oh my gosh, that's really expensive. Like, what did they lower it from? Well, the cleanser, a face cleanser. The face cleanser used to be $80, and that $118 serum used to be $385. And apparently all they've changed is the name on the bottle and the packaging. So what does that say? But I am glad that they lowered the price, so I can't complain too much. Overall, I don't know how much difference this is going to make, especially with Brad Pitt as the face of it. I feel it's giving me like J-Lo vibes. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to do well, but you'll have to tell me what you think. In a beauty-adjacent collaboration, we have Touchland hand sanitizers this week collaborating with Crocs on something weird. It's very weird, but just weird enough that I think that it's going to sell, and it does seem to be selling. They did not collaborate on a foot-scented hand sanitizer, which would be disgusting, but also we've seen a lot of disgusting things come out, so I would not be surprised, but that's not what they did. What they did was they collaborated on not a hand sanitizer, but a case for your hand sanitizer, and that case looks like a Croc. And you can even put your little gibbets that you put on your Crocs on your little case. That case is $20, and it doesn't even come with a hand sanitizer in it. Make it make sense. Apparently, according to WWD, there was a wait list of 11,000 people wondering when this product was going to launch. And when I went over to the Sephora website, the white one was already sold out. So somebody is buying this. Oh, another selling point on it also is that you can clip it to your bag. So there you go. You don't even have to reach in your bag to get your hand sanitizer. You can just clip it to the outside. So maybe that's cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not cool. I don't get it. I don't get it. And clip it next to your Labubu. All right, this next product isn't mind-blowing. I just thought it was pretty, and I love the Fenty Gloss Bomb, so I wanted to mention this. Fenty has a new lip luminizer. It is called the Gloss Bomb Stacks, and this is a limited edition shade called Unicorn Blizzard. They say it gives an iridescent periwinkle shimmer to the lips in a peach vanilla scent, which sounds absolutely divine. You can get it at Sephora or on their website for $24 now. And then we have Charlotte Tilbury. And as the Gen Zers and the Gen Alphas say, I am confusion because this is weird. I always think of Charlotte Tilbury as being super bougie, right? Like I always think of her as being really elevated and elegant and sexy and like that whole brand. It's got that whole vibe. What the heck is this? What even is this? What is that? How is that Charlotte Tilbury? Doesn't that look like something like from Essence or something you'd see at like TJ Maxx? How the heck is that Charlotte Tilbury? I don't get it. Like we joke all the time about products that look like they should be in the kids store Claire's. I really do think this looks like it belongs in Claire's. I have no idea what they were thinking with this, except for that I do know that they're trying to reach younger customers and maybe they're trying to reach it through this. But this does not seem like a good route. I don't know. Let me tell you about it because again, I could be wrong. I don't know everything about everything. I could be wrong. So it's $25. There's 6 shades. Each one has slightly different packaging. They're all called Juicylicious, and then the name of the flavor / shade. So we have candy fig, cherry glaze, coconut water, pink watermelon, pure peach, and strawberry vanilla. And according to WWD, again, the strawberry vanilla and the pink watermelon shades have the pH adjusting color that they say creates a custom tint, when really the custom tint is the same pink color on everybody. It just looks different because everybody has different skin tones. But I digress. Anyway, each flavor they say was created with the same perfumer that created Charlotte's fragrance line that launched in 2024. They say it lends a delicious mood boosting note to each of the flavors. Now, again, 100%, I could be being too harsh on these. Maybe I just don't get it, but I don't understand what's happening with this brand right now. I feel like, they're always talking about people duping them. But I feel like they're duping like a cheap TJ Maxx lip gloss, and I don't understand why. But disagree if you want to. Explain it to me. I would love to know. Comments always welcome. Just be nice, but comments always welcome. And finally, in our lighthearted story of the week, we have talked many times about how it is very difficult to stand out in this market. It is very hard, very, very hard. And this brand knows how hard it is to stand out in the market. And that is why they have named their sunscreen company Spooge. I'm not kidding. They called it Spooge. If you're not familiar with the term, it's excitement juice that comes out of a penis. That's Spooge. And now it's a sunscreen. Maybe there just isn't enough teenager left in my soul, but this is not something that I want on my face or my body. No, thank you. No, thank you. Their target audience, though, of course, is younger people who are not using their sunscreen in favor of tanning their skin. They want younger people to use sunscreen because, of course, we know not using sunscreen can lead to increased skin cancer, can lead to increased hyperpigmentation, increased photo aging at a younger age, and more intense photo aging. So they've used the tagline, use protection, have more fun. There are 4 products in this line that they have dropped, and this is how the brand Spooge describes them. First one, the OG. It is for face and body. It has a sheer, lightweight, non-greasy finish that blends seamlessly. Then we have Cheeky, also for face and body. It's a shimmering, illuminating sunscreen that protects you from cheek to cheek. Then we have Do Me. It's a face sunscreen that is also tinted. It's a glowy, hydrating sunscreen that acts like skincare with a dewy finish. And then Ghosted, which is also for your face. It is an oil-free sunscreen with a cloud-like feel that blends seamlessly. They say no chalky mess. Prices range from $28 to $34 per product. If you decide that you would like to put Spooge on your face or on your body, feel free, because I'm out. Absolutely freaking not. Never mind, I gotta come back because I have to end the show. That is it. Thank you so much for watching What's Up in Makeup. I appreciate you. And thank you, as always, to the What's Up in Makeup Facebook hunters. Their names are scrolling below me. Thank you so much for all of your submissions this week. I appreciate you with my entire heart and soul. Our chat today is going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We're gonna be hanging out, talking about makeup. The plan is to have a very special guest that I'm very excited about, and I'm hoping that it works out. So it's either gonna be just me or me and a special guest. We shall see. Crossing my fingers on the special guest because I would love that so much. But if you can't join us in live chat, it's no problem. You can always check it out on the replay on my channel page. But if you would like to watch something right now, YouTube should be recommending 2 videos over here for you. Bottom one is last week's episode of Top News. Not last week, 2 weeks ago's episode of Top News. What's Up in Makeup down there. Top one is based on your viewing history, what YouTube thinks you want to watch. But if you gotta go, I completely get it. Thank you for hanging out as long as you did. And mad love to you. I will see you in a video very, very soon.